Hello everybody, this is Linda and you're at Icky Chic Designs, and today I'm talking about the Untamed garden. As you can see, I am moving along on this quite well. Let me bring you in a little tighter so you can actually see some of this. Collaging is often difficult for people as they tell me that they have trouble collaging and they don't know how to put their elements together or what, when, where, and how. And this project is a super project to jump in on because it is an untamed garden. So you really can't collage wrong in something like that. Now, if you were doing a formal piece where things needed to be the right size, shape, color, so forth and so on, it would be a little more difficult, to collage that properly. But something like this, no. Anybody can do this. They can put it together the way they see it and the way they like it. Now, if you remember, I started out with this whole piece with just pieces of gauzy scarf material, scraps that I had, and that was my background, and I'm working on top of that and a piece of batting. On that, I've been fussy cutting elements out of fabrics that I have, different elements, and just collaging them together. Now, for me, the secret of collaging is to think about it kind of like weaving things in and out of each other so that things don't just starkly stand out, but they flow and work in and intertwine with each other. To me, that's kind of how I see collaging, especially for a project like this. And to show you what I'm talking about, let me demonstrate some of these pieces. This big orange piece here is a piece that's cut out on its own. This big leafy thing brown here is a piece cut out on its own. Then I cut the little leafy piece here, little leafy piece here, this little piece, another little piece, and of course this green section here. This one here is on its own, and then this long piece that goes up into this blue flower is on its own. This green is on its own, this blue is on its own, this blue is on its own. So you can see that all these individual pieces. Put the big orange piece in the back, laid this one next to it, but let it come over and touch and cover just a little bit, weaving it into this piece. Then taking this piece, tucking it so it looks like it comes from behind this piece and coming over, and it's coming into this one. Everything is intertwining. This one looks like it comes behind this one, lays over this one. This piece here is coming up, something bigger is growing here and totally coming in over. So this piece is intertwined. It's weaved with all these other pieces. This flowery thing that comes across here is doing the same thing for this. This green that lays here, but this piece that comes up here is doing the intertwining really well, okay? This trim here, this ribbon, this fabric, these little flowers, the loose threads, the eyelash yarn, all of this putting together in here is just weaving it together. Think of it in that sense, it's weaving it together. But things are on top of, behind of, over, draping. That's the way you get things to blend in a collage. They cannot just set in block situations and blend. They just won't do that. Now, in some collages, you can blend with squares, rectangles, and things like that. You can if you do it correctly. But when you're building a garden collage like this, just think about making sure that every piece is weaved into the next piece somehow. the leaf connects to the big thing here. These do too. These are weaved together. This comes across everything. These start weaving in. All this over here is a thicket that just weaves into it. Just beautiful. In here I put a bunch of loose threads, just sewed them down with a little scrunchy flower up here of some kind of fabric, just a little color, just something different, very texturized. It sits next to this long piece that I cut out here of this big focal point flower. I have big flowers all through this and then other little stuff. But to blend this big flower in so that it looks untamed in this garden, you need all these other elements to be playing with it. So these threads, and then this blue fabric that I put here, I made sure to pull it up here. I also then pulled it over so that it makes more sense that it's growing in the background and it's intertwined now with this flower sitting on top of it, and this leaf section that's coming out the top makes sense and connects with this piece down here. So as we look at this, we see that everything is tucked under, around, over. Touching and intertwining is very, very important. Making sure that things don't sit in perfect situations. Like this piece right here. It's kind of an odd piece. It comes up and over. It allows this little bit here to show. It's just there. It's just there, like it would be in an untamed garden. It doesn't grow perfectly and sit perfectly. But it makes sense now that this yellow flower, this big focal yellow flower, sits here because this is part of that. And but it's cut separately and put in separately. Okay, so now this flower overlaps this one just a little. All right. This overlaps all this blue that's coming in here. Allow this to overlap just the edge here. Made sense. Tuck a little something different right here for color and texture and play. That makes it interesting. Also intertwines and weaves all this bottom part together now, rather than this just sitting there by itself. Okay. I added some just blue fabric because I have so much blue going on here and I don't want to just abruptly drop it off. So I added a little stretch of blue fabric and let it come across this big pink flower that I put in. Okay. Then I added a separate leaf here and just threw it in there. Now this leaf is part of this flower cut out, but this one is single. And I just threw it in there because it makes sense. It also interweaves and connects with the pink and the blue. Okay. Then I have these pink flowers cut out of a different fabric, and because I wanted to make a pink statement here, I'm coming from kind of neutral to blue to yellow, now into the pink. So this flower on its own didn't give me enough color, so I found this fabric and cut this out. This particular piece had some of the deeper reddish orange, so it worked well with the pink, and then this pink flower up here. Okay. Then I found this crazy leaf that doesn't go with any color, the blue, the yellow, or the pink. And so it really helped me make it more untamed and throwing something in here that just is not a formal addition to the color scheme that's going on. But it's a big leaf and it's different. All right, can you see that? Making it different and making it untamed. Allowing this yellow-green flower to make an entrance in with this pink. You know how that goes. You plant a bunch of the same color, and then next time you go out, you've got something growing that's not that color. How that, how that happens in your garden. And so now coming back and throwing in some of the blue again. Okay. But it's really helping to keep pulling your eye across, because some of the colors, when they're duplicated, keep the continuity. You don't have to duplicate, but I like to do that ever so often because it allows me to throw something different. This is totally different. The blues and yellows play together. Then we have the pink. So then we're going back to the blues a little bit to pull you over, okay? Then we're going to bring in a little bit of more green. And this one's coming undone. Let me put it in there. Now, also what I'm doing on this end is everything so far has kind of reached to the top. I'm bringing the level down, and it will come down even further and finish out over here as I come up here, leaving a little bit more of this up here. And as you see, I am stitching that with different colors as I go along, just simple stitching on that up there. These pieces are cut out of a shirt that had embroidery on it. Perfect little colored flowers to work in with these colors here. This pink and yellow is taking the pink, but it's because it's got so much yellow in it, it's kind of fading it out. But these little splashes of pink remind you that this pink flowers are here. Then this up here again is pulling the blues. Now over here I haven't finished, but I brought a little bit more green in with this little green flower. Not quite sure what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to keep smaller elements and just taper it off more or less down the side. But you can see how that's growing across there and what my thinking is and what my pattern layout is. I have this little leafy piece here that's tucked in under that. This is going to be tucked in under that piece right there when it's sewn in more closer. Let me bend it just a little and get that together. Hopefully that'll stay, okay? Little gauzy fabric laid on top of here. Okay, so right now I am last stitching here, and I'm stitching with a kind of a red color just to, again, keep pulling that pinky red over, fading it out into elements over here. Not strong reds like there are here, pinks, but, you know, just with threads and little things like this, bringing it on. Then I will be sewing this piece and then continuing into the back and laying out the rest of the collaging here. So far, I am very pleased. It's coming together. It's just really collaged, in my opinion, perfectly for an untamed garden, because it takes some looking at. It takes some study to find the different pieces because they're so intertwined with each other, and how this garden grows and what it has in it. I just love it. All the different fabrics and textures, using the big bold elements with the smaller elements, bringing our color to make sense with each other, and not just blobs of color without any continuity going across with it. Okay. All right. So I hope that helps you to see how I'm collaging. And if you jump into this project, remember, it is an untamed garden. There's no way to mess up the collaging. However you collage it, keep it looking untamed and not perfected. do any stitching that you want. Now you can see that I haven't done a lot of additional stitching. I did a little stitching in this orange flower because it was kind of dull and uninteresting. So just putting a little texture draws a person's eye to that. I used the purple, which is contrasted to the orange. That helped too. This big leaf, I'm going to come back and do a little bit more stitching in here, but for now I just put a double row of straight stitching down that side. Okay. I haven't done a lot of decorative stitching at all, just simply overcasting or running stitches. I did put some little French knots of yellow right on this, just simply to tie this yellow in just a little better and to create a little interest. I may come in and put little French knots in here on these flowers. I'm thinking of doing that. I have put some stitching through here, but it's with fabric, with thread that blends, so you really don't see it. Okay. Over here, I put a row of orange chain stitches just to throw a weird color in. I've got the aqua and the orange, which doesn't relate to anything else, but that helps to keep it untamed. You don't expect this color leaf, and so that's kind of, to me, another interest point. Okay. Coming on across, these elements are totally different in that they are embroidered, machine embroidered, but they work. When I put them in here, they will work. They're not leaf cut or flower cut, they're just pieces, but they will be, if I integrate them right, they will just flow with this Untamed garden. Okay. A little of my background piece I let come up over this piece, some of this right here over this, and that helps too. It looks like, grass is growing or something like that. So again, it's super fun. It's super challenging, just because it's fun. Now you do need fabric with patterns. So in this case, florals. Most of you who sew a lot will have florals in your stash, and but you just need to cut out, and you need to get several different so that you have lots of different. You have big ones, you have middle ones, you have little tiny ones, you have different colors, shapes. You can blend them all together. All right. So whatever you have, you can play with it and see what you can make. Now, I wanted this not too big, but big enough because I was going to use big flowers. So I love the size of this. Again, I put that in the first video, but I can't remember. So we're going 29 inches long, so almost 30 inches by 10. So that's been a perfect size for me. And I think as a wall hanging, it'll be pretty when it's hung. And it'll be big enough that it makes a statement wherever I hang it. Okay. Now, what am I going to bind the edges with? Again, I'm not positive. I have the orange fabric that I've been working with a lot. And so possibly I might, let me see if I can find a piece of that. Possibly I might use that. I think it would work in perfect. It's got, the colors in it. And when it gets binding size, about like that, it'll look great, I think. So I think I'll continue to use this fabric. It works perfect with this project, and I have enough of it. So again, don't be afraid of collaging. Don't be intimidated by projects that you see that just look wonderful and you think, I can't do that like that. I don't know how. Yes, you can. Because it takes just putting one thing down, then put something else and make them touch, or tuck one in behind one or one on top of one. Then take another element, changing up size, color, shape. Tuck it in, okay? Make it part of the family. Then another, and another. One at a time, intertwined with something else, will help you start collaging. And if you start a project as big as mine, 10 by 30, let's say, I don't think about the whole. I think about this little spot right here that I'm working on, this little piece, okay? When I was working this little section, I wasn't thinking about this section. I was thinking about this section. What am I going to put here? And then when I got through with that, then I start here and here and here. And as I get it sewn down, I'll add a little bit more pinned in, and then a little bit more pinned in. And that's how I keep working across the whole thing, okay? If you think about the whole, it'll paralyze you in your tracks. It's too much, it's overwhelming. You think about a small section. Mine really are in smaller sections. If you think about it, this is about a 6 to 7 inch stretch. Then our next one is a 5 inch stretch. And then our next one is, about a 4 inch stretch. Then our pink section is about a 4 inch stretch. Then we go into the blues again, and we're into about a 5 or 6 inch stretch. So you can see that section by section is how I've been working this, okay? All right. Well, I hope that helps, and I'm loving it. I hope you're loving it, and you can see the potential for yourself in a project. This would be a beautiful project for a beginner, because you can't go wrong in an untamed garden. You just can't. Whatever you put in, it's going to look good because it's an untamed garden. You can't make a mistake. It doesn't have to be perfect. Love it like it is, okay? So now, please, everyone, grab your scraps and let's all stay scrap happy.